where do you want to go next?
Oh, dude. So actually, I'm starting another business. I'm starting a conformation competition for geckos for win, and eventually we'll crown champions. And it's called Gold Standard Gecko Club.
What's up, folks? Brian Cusco here at Redline Report, and today we're going to have David Utrera of Tiki's Geckos. And he's going to be doing something really cool at these shows in the United States that I've not seen done. I'm not saying they haven't been done yet, but I have not personally seen them done in the United States yet. And he's going to talk about what that is. And it's actually at a show coming out this weekend in New York is the first debut of this idea that he has that we're going to talk about in today's video. So thank you guys for watching the Redline Report.
What's up, Brian?
Well, what's up, bro? It's been a wild one already.
Yeah.
Dude, congrats on 100,000.
Thank you.
That's a big deal, man.
Thank you, bro. Yeah. You know, I mean, I've been working so hard on YouTube for so long. You know how it is. It's a good accomplishment. I feel happy with it.
Yeah. That's when they finally send you a plaque.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I want, bro.
That's all
I
you
don't care
want.
about anything else.
Just want the plaque. As long as we got the plaque, we can just cut it there.
That's it.
Retirement after that.
Yeah. I don't even want to think of 1 million yet. I just give me my silver plaque.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
How long have you been working at that?
Damn, YouTube, probably like 12 years. But I've been like on and off. Recently, like in the last 2 or 3 years, I've been like consistent where I post at least once a week. But when I first started it, you know, I was just posting like here and there. Then I would take like months off and then I'll post and, you know. But now we're doing pretty consistent videos.
Is that your main platform? I know you do a lot on Instagram too.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, I have the most followers on TikTok. It's the least amount of effort I put into any social media. But they're like more loyal, like I consider like real followers are on Instagram and YouTube, yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
How did you get into animals? We never really got to sit down and talk.
I know.
Like how did you get into keeping and has it always been geckos from the beginning?
So when I was young, I was born in Venezuela, and in Venezuela there's not like this whole like animal, especially with reptiles, like this hobby doesn't exist over there like this. Few people have some stuff here and there, but I was always obsessed with dinosaurs as a kid. I wanted to work with animals. Everybody told me be a veterinarian, that's where the money's at, but I wanted to work with like more reptiles, and I didn't want to see animals dying and stuff. That wasn't what I was into. So then things happened. We moved to the United States. And I had one of my aunts actually married an American guy that bred Burmese pythons. So he was already plugged into the world, and he knew that I liked reptiles and dinosaurs and stuff, so he sent me a bearded dragon. I was like, I don't know, 9 years old or something. And that got the ball rolling. I started getting all sorts of animals. I got into, I've had sugar gliders, like all sorts of exotics and reptiles. And then I've always liked geckos in particular, but I remember going to a Repticon show back, you know, I don't know how long ago, like 15 years ago. And I'm sorry, way more than that. And somebody had a crested gecko, and they let me hold that thing, and I was like, just my mind blew. Like they were so soft, it was like tame, so like you could actually hold it, and that's what got me into the geckos.
Okay, so
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Oh yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
And when did you start breeding? So 15 years ago, longer than 15 years ago, you held that crested gecko, and like it got you turned on and spurred like a thing with geckos for you, obviously. And so how long from that moment to when you decided you're going to start breeding them, and how did that happen?
So at first, I bred them just as a hobbyist, just because, like, you know, you got a male, you got a female, you put them together, and then you just found eggs. So that was like shortly after I got my first couple geckos. In 2010, 2011 is when I decided to like actually make it a business. But at that time, I was like still in high school. Like it was just like a, you know, just like a hobby, like a side hustle type thing. And that's what got me into it. But just when I first, what really set the ball rolling is there was this other breeder that had a wholesale pack of 50 geckos available, and it was $1,500. And I didn't have that money, but I asked my parents for a loan, and they loaned it to me. I got the geckos. I pitched the thing. I was like, oh, look, I could sell the ones I don't want and for at least like double what I'm buying them for. And I ended up getting them. And I kept back all the ones that I liked the best, and then I sold the rest. And then that's where my breeding stock started from. I started buying geckos from everybody, like the best breeders. And eventually that's how I built up my collection.
So how many different species? I know you specialize definitely crested geckos. Like how many different species of gecko do you work with?
A lot. We do all the New Caledonian geckos, so crested gargoyle, chahua, lychees, all of that stuff. I do tokay geckos, a lot of day geckos. So we do a lot of the smaller species of day geckos, like the Sepidiana, the neon day geckos, gold dust, all that. We do some cave geckos, a couple like rare cave geckos. So we do a lot. We do a lot of variety, and not just geckos. We do blue tongue skinks and other animals as well.
Where did Tikis come from in the?
So Tiki is my nickname. I've had that when I first moved to the United States. I hung out with these group of kids in my neighborhood that I had a shirt that said Tiki Palooza, and they were like, I don't like David, I'm gonna call you Tiki. So for whatever reason that stuck. They started calling me Tiki. Then that transferred onto school to the gym, and then I'm like, it was like everybody knew me as Tiki. Nobody knew even my real name. So I called the business Tiki's Geckos because I thought it rang. It sounded good.
It does. It does ring, and it does sound good. And it, like, for whatever reason, it excuse me. Oh my gosh, too much burger. It does. Tiki's Gecko has a good ring to it.
Yeah.
I think it, like, kind of draws you in, even if you don't know. I don't even know how I ended up following you guys in the first place, but I just know you're like one of the few, if not only gecko accounts that I follow. Not that I follow a ton of people on Instagram. I actually made a point of like, I don't have enough time, and if I'm not actually following what somebody's doing, I can't like actually hit the button that says follow because I'm like, there's no way my brain can handle that. But I've been following you guys for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And I think that the name has something to do with it because
hopefully.
And I'm trying to think of when I first like followed what you were doing, but it was a long time ago already.
Yeah, I think I've done a lot of collaborations with everybody, like Dave, and I know you have as well. That's how I found out about you a while back, and I think we met maybe at a Tinley or at a Pomona or something.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably how.
Yeah. Well, what do you get out of like what you do? What is it that you, and if you don't get it already, what is it that you want, like from keeping reptiles and that, like what was it that you wanted the most, or what do you want out of what you do?
Well, I don't want to work every day of my life, so I chose something that I like. But honestly, I don't know. I just have you can't explain it. I have a fascination with animals, in particularly reptiles, and I don't know. I really can't explain why, but I'm just so drawn to them. I'm drawn to like the scales, like the colors, and just like the environments too, like that they come from, and having like a little piece of nature in in an enclosure. Like to me, that's like what I like the most about the hobby. Especially like these days, I think there's a big push to like, upgrade the type of enclosure you have. A lot of people are pushing more to like keeping more naturalistic and stuff, and it's bringing, I think, more passion back into it, because it can get like very repetitive sometimes, but all the different species and like that keeps it fun always, in my opinion.
I think something that we get into in this community we're in, the breeding community, and we forget about how much more massive in numbers just the keeping community is.
Yeah.
Like which is the only way it would work. We can't have like those numbers of people breeding and then nobody just keeping. That wouldn't work.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes we forget about that whole group out there, and when we think about like keeping more naturalistic setups, like I think there's a lot of people that do that. It's just they're just not the ones that stay on the forefront of social media all the time. I mean, there's a lot of us in like the breeding community that know each other, that go to the shows and stuff, and we kind of follow each other there. But the geckos seem like they're really primed for that, because most of them, I mean, with the exception of like the Chihuahua, gets pretty dang big.
Yeah.
But like, the Chihuahua, the Lychees, Leachianus gets, obviously bigger than the rest of them. But they're a prime species for being able to do that. Like you don't need a 20-foot enclosure.
Yeah,
I think
I think that's the key. I think it takes a couple like like factors. Like you need to be it needs to be an animal that could be tamed pretty easily. An animal people could hold because that's what people are into. Has to have like a lot of colors. Has to have ease of care. Like, and geckos most geckos fall into that category. Crested geckos, leopard geckos, fat-tailed geckos. They're all, somebody in an apartment can keep this. Whereas if you live in an apartment, you can't necessarily keep a anaconda or a retic or a big monitor lizard. So I think that's definitely why they're so popular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
They're definitely cool. I mean, I've got a crested at home, and they're super cool. They're one of my favorites to bring to the shows for the kids because their personality and like they see those spikes.
Yeah.
And like probably you had that experience a long time. You see these spikes and then you hold it, and you're like, oh, it's like
And it's
velvet.
soft. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and then they're just the little jump they do, the licking the eyeball, like it's all just really cute stuff that I think kids gravitate towards.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's where we need to keep this going. I think is with kids and spurring them on and showing them how cool it is.
Yeah.
You never know. Like obviously we're facing a lot of legislation.
Yeah.
And I know you've been pretty passionate about making content to like keep people aware of like there is a lot of stuff coming at us.
Yeah.
You guys did a great job in some of those skits and stuff you put together, like the dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah, like just trying to show that comparison where people could understand that don't keep reptiles.
Yeah.
That like, listen, these are like
It's our pets.
These are our
like
pets.
we care about them.
Yeah.
They may not. Some people get some people ask me, why do you keep reptiles? Like they don't love you like a dog does or whatever. And I'm like, I love the animal. Like I don't need the animal to love me back for me to appreciate it. A lot of people are expecting that from animals, but once you let that go, you could appreciate them so much more because just their behavior and stuff is so interesting. They're a lot smarter than we give them credit for. And yeah, it sucks that there's so much legislation, so many people pushing to get rid of our animals because if they understood them, I don't think they would think the same. Yeah.
And that's why I even brought that part up, was that I think it's important to have those animals, and like especially the ones that kids can really latch onto, because you never know which legislator's kid, which politician, like those little things it sounds crazy. It sounds like a little piece of a story of like a Hollywood movie, but that is actually how the world works a lot of times. Like you get this person that's in charge of this thing and they have somebody in their life who ends up being passionate about a certain thing, and that's all it takes is that one moment, that interaction between those two people, the kid and the politician or whatever it ends up being, to make that switch. Like, listen, I understand this now. I can feel the heart of it. My kid loves this. This is like their life.
Exactly.
And that's just sometimes the little thing it takes to make that change.
Yeah. That's why it's important. Everybody rags on like leopard geckos or crested geckos or ball pythons or whatever, but they're such a key species to bridge that gap, because not everybody's going to start off with a satanic leaf-tailed gecko. There's a very particular animal that's very hard to take care of, and it's not made for the general public. But you start off with a crested gecko, it's easy, and it'll like generate that love for wildlife and for the rest of the hobby eventually. It's like the gateway drug. A lot of these animals that like ball pythons, crested geckos, leopard geckos. So I think that's why they're very important.
Yeah, definitely, man. Well, where do you want to go next?
Dude, so I'm always looking to breed and refine with all the animals I have, but I'm starting another business. I'm starting a conformation competition for geckos, and we're going to start with crested geckos in the Flora Fauna show in May 5th. And basically, it's kind of like the AKC where they grade dogs based on like a breed standard. So I want to do that with crested geckos. We're going to do we're going to put different crested geckos of the same categories, like Moors, up against each other, and they're going to be competing against each other, and the best will win. And eventually we'll crown champions. And it's just to kind of like, have a standard for breeding and not just have people breed whatever, and to get to really put a name on people that may not necessarily be well known but are producing some really badass animals. It'll give them a spotlight, So I wanna push that heavy to now that there's a little bit more interest in Crested Geckos in particular, and a lot of new people are getting into it. I want to make it a little bit more professional.
What are some of the standards? Like, you have a list of standards?
Yeah, so I'll give you, like, the very basic stuff would be, like, obviously you don't want any underbites, overbites. You want to make sure that it has a nice triangular head with nice crest. No, like, we call them bald geckos in the gecko world, in the crested gecko world, where they don't have any crest, or the crests are very short, very narrow head. We want more of a triangular head, you know, a nice, thick, muscular body without being too overweight. Things like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything with color or like handleability or anything?
Yeah. So it's depending on the category. So we'll have we'll have like a category for like reds, for example, right? So we're gonna judge the animals based on all the structural traits that I just told you about. Then we're also gonna talk about their color. You know, what animals have the best color. And handleability is going to be one of the factors that we judge them on as well.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I went to something like that with Brian back in the day in Indonesia. They're having a reptile show in the mall, and they had a best of show type of competition like you're talking about putting on.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was really cool to see how proud people were of the animals they were keeping and like how well they were keeping
Was
them.
it with like green iguanas?
They had all kinds of different
Okay.
categories. They had like snake category, they had lizard category. There was different categories, and they had all those different categories within the categories of what they were looking for. Like you said, the body composition and handleability and like care, like how
That's
they were
cool.
obviously cared for.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really cool that you're doing that, and that you're spearheading that, because I mean, that would be great to see that happening at shows all over the country.
Yeah. So that's my plan. I'm starting this off in this next show, the Flora Fauna show that is in New York in May. But eventually I want to, you know, bring that over here to Tinley. I want to bring it to the Super Show. I want to bring it to all the major shows. So everybody from each part of the country has an opportunity to enter in the show and show off their geckos.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see that brand spread out to like all different species too.
Yeah, no. Yeah, trust me. I have big plans for it, but I'm starting with what I know.
Sure.
And I'm starting with what I know is the most popular right now, which are the Crested Geckos. But we're gonna do it. My company's it's called Gold Standard Gecko Club. So it's gonna start off with Crested Geckos. We're gonna do gargoyle geckos, leopard geckos. Eventually, we'll get to all of the major species. But I've thought about wanting to do for bearded dragons and some other animals as well.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're doing that, dude.
Yeah, bro. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited for you, man.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to following what becomes of that, man.
Thank you, bro.
It's
Thank
really
you.
cool. Well, is there anything else you want to share? I mean, that's I think a big thing to share. Anything you want to share?
Yeah. No, other than that, you know, we do all the social media, so just follow us on there. We have, you know, a wide variety of animals that we sell. But yeah, that's it. Tiki's Geckos.
Tiki's
on
Geckos
everything.
on all platforms?
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Dave, I appreciate you coming and taking time.
Thank you, bro. Thank you.
man. We were talking about that years ago when Brian and I went to the thing, you know, like are we going to see this in the States at some point? You know?
Yeah.
It's kind of like, who's going to do it? Somebody's got to do it. And
Yeah.
You're taking on that mantle, so it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
It's cool, dude.
Nice, bro.
Nice work. All right, guys, this weekend, go and check out that show if you don't, or at least follow, if you're not able to attend that show in person, which I'm not going to be able to, but you can follow David over there at Tiki's Geckos on all the different platforms. Follow what he's doing with that best of show stuff going on, kind of AKC for Crested Geckos. I'm pretty excited with what he's doing with that. I'd love for you guys to follow along and be excited too, because I think it's pretty cool. So thank you guys again for watching the Redline Report. We'll have another video for you next Tuesday. Y'all take care. I need you later.
Do you?
Yes.
How long?
Some before the weekend's over.
Okay.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Oh, good, you're not recording.
We were talking about that years ago when Brian and I went to the thing, you know, like are we gonna see this in the States at some point? You know,
Yeah.
It's kind of like, who's gonna do it? Somebody's got to do it. And
Yeah.
You're taking on that mantle, so it's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
It's cool, dude.
Nice, bro.
Nice work. I need you later.
Do you?
Yes.
How long?
Some before the weekend's over.
Okay.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Oh, good, you're not recording.
I have 5 steak fries, I have congealed snot, and I have, ready? Are you filming?
Security! Hear about his geckos.
What are you talking about?
Hey, we can sit down, because I would like to talk to you about the soft scale gene and the exact Anthony Caponetto in his description. And I know that you're an avid supporter of the soft scale in his description that it's incomplete dominant.
No, I'm on Nicoletta's side now.
I don't know who's Nick Archuleta.
Nick Archuleta.
Nick Archuleta? Who is that?
I'm gonna tell her you said that.
Bye, Kevin.
Are these two block Kevin out? These are two block Kevin.
That's why we have these. We we have these so that Kevin disappears. Yeah, that's what it's all about.
You just gotta tune them out.
Dude, you're getting pickle juice on my table, bro.
There's a French fry. Dale, you can eat that.
Chris, hold him.
Ladies, children.
I'm gonna have to listen to that one.
Man, my challenge to all of you out there is try and conduct an interview with Kevin McCurley in the room.